Hey, it's Adam, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to stop self-sabotaging your own success. Because the reason why you're not in your ideal relationship or your ideal career or your ideal amount of spiritual mastery, the reason why your life is not successful in the way you want it to be is not because of the situation out there in the external world. What prevents you from succeeding and being happy in your life is self-sabotage. You actually sabotage yourself. The reason why you do that, we're going to be talking about here in this video. So if you stick through the entire video, you are going to learn the 4 hidden barriers that prevent you from being ultimately happy in your life. These are psychological limiting beliefs that every single person has, and if you can shine some awareness onto these beliefs, which we're going to be doing today, then you can surpass your upper limit of happiness. So all of the ideas, most of the ideas from this video today are coming straight from Gay Hendrick's book, The Big Leap. This is an absolutely must-read personal development book. I've read it like 3 times. For the last 2 or 3 years, this book has been changing my life. It's always relevant, so kudos to Gay Hendricks. Most of these ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you today are his. I'm just putting them into video form. And what Gay Hendricks talks about in The Big Leap is that every single person has what's called the upper limit problem. And I remember when I first discovered this, my mind was blown. Basically what this means is that you have an upper limit of happiness and good feelings that you allow yourself to feel until you hit an invisible ceiling. And once you hit your upper limit, then you do something to self-sabotage yourself that keeps you in your comfort zone, that keeps you safe and secure. So what Gay Hendrick says in The Big Leap is that the human being has an internal thermostat for the amount of happiness that you're allowed to feel. So for example, this thermostat represents the amount of abundance, happiness, success, love in relationships that you let yourself feel. Let's say your upper limit is right about here. This is your invisible ceiling. Now, at any point in your life when you start to feel an excess of happiness, you start to feel really good, really abundant, really successful. Maybe you get a big payment for a lot of money, or maybe you go on a date with a beautiful girl that you think is going to be your ideal partner. When you start feeling really good in your life, what you do is you intentionally mess up your own happiness, because once this thermostat starts to raise above your upper limit, then it's kind of like the air conditioning in your house. Once the temperature goes above 24 degrees Celsius, then the air conditioning will turn on to bring the temperature back down to keep it balanced. So this is a homeostatic mechanism, and Gay Hendricks is saying that your own happiness, success, and abundance has an upper limit, this invisible ceiling here, and this upper limit is held in place by 4 main hidden barriers that are limiting beliefs that we're going to be going into right now. These 4 hidden barriers are super deep rooted in your psyche, and many of them are actually very emotionally charged. So I'm just warning you that sometimes when I talk to people about these limiting beliefs, it causes them to cry. When I first learned about these limiting beliefs, I literally cried. So I'm just warning you, we're going to be doing some very deep soul searching here in this episode. What keeps this upper limit in place, what prevents you from surpassing this upper limit and expanding to become the highest version of yourself is self-sabotage. And there's these 4 hidden barriers, which we're going to talk about right now. All right, so the first hidden barrier, which is a limiting belief, a false belief that you have about yourself. The first hidden barrier, so there's 4 barriers. People usually have a mix of 2 or 3 of them. So it's not like you only have one of these beliefs. Normally people feel multiple of these hidden barriers. And I'm going to be exposing them to you right now so that you stop falling into the same trap over and over again. All right, so the first hidden barrier is feeling like there's something fundamentally wrong with you. So these hidden barriers, what they say to you is, I cannot expand to my full potential. I cannot expand to my full potential because blank. And you can fill in the blank with one of these 4 hidden barriers that I'm going to be showing to you right now. So the first hidden barrier is feeling like you are fundamentally flawed. Feeling like there is something deeply wrong with you. So hidden barrier number 1 is feeling fundamentally flawed. So literally, like, the core of who you are as a person is flawed. There's something wrong with you. And this barrier says, I cannot expand to my full creative genius because something is fundamentally wrong with me. Now, where would this belief come from? So personally, I used to struggle with this belief in my life because when I was a child, I was kind of a troublemaker in school. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, I was very curious, a high energy kid. I always had my fingers in all the pies. And I caused a lot of trouble for my teachers and for the other kids as well. And I used to always be in the principal's office, like every single week. I would get in big trouble because I would do something. Now, after a while, this actually started to make me feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Why do I always get into trouble, always get sent to the principal's office every single week? What the fuck is wrong with me? Am I just like a bad person? Am I just like a troublemaker, an evil person? Or I just felt like a bad boy, basically. And my teachers would always tell me, you're misbehaving, you're being a bad boy. And this caused me to feel fundamentally flawed. Like something's wrong with me. I can't behave. I'm a flawed person. This belief also can manifest if you're someone who's been diagnosed with some kind of disease or disorder, like maybe you have ADHD, or maybe you've been diagnosed with autism, or maybe you've been diagnosed with some kind of behavioral like anger management problem, okay? This is very popular in today's society. Now listen, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that a lot of these behavior disorders that are being diagnosed to children nowadays are not behavior disorders, but they're just like the result of a dysfunctional society that doesn't teach the children how to behave properly, doesn't give children outlets for their energy. So for example, I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD, but I easily could have been. I know people who have a lot less energy than I do that say that they have ADHD. The reason why a lot of boys are diagnosed with ADHD is because they're going to school and they're forced to sit in a chair for 8 hours a day. and they get 15 minutes of recess, but then the rest of the time they just have to like listen to the teacher drone on about some boring topic. And then they keep getting in trouble. They go to a behavior therapist and he's like, oh, your kid has ADHD. And then you tell the kid, oh, you have ADHD. And then the kid's 6 years old. It's like, oh, yeah, there's something wrong with you. You have a disorder. Now we're going to, assign a therapist to you, and they're going to give you all these, puzzles and tests just to see what the fuck is wrong with you. Really what's wrong with you is that you are a boy who is supposed to be jumping around and playing and learning about life through your direct experience, high energy, playing sports, having fun, running around outside, not sitting in the class, learning the boring thing that the teacher's telling you. You got to copy notes from the board. So anyways, that tangent is basically just to say that our society diagnoses children and makes them feel like they're fundamentally flawed with a behavior disorder. Meanwhile, it's not really a behavior disorder. You're just, your school system is not functioning properly. So now for the rest of your life you're living, you feel like something's wrong with you. It's like, oh, I can't be successful because I have ADHD. Or I can't expand to my full potential because I have autism. Or because I have this problem, because I'm a bad boy, because I have anger management issues. Now, I'm not saying that there are some serious barriers, that some people actually do have ADHD or anger management or autism. Those are real disorders with real problems. But the problem is when you feel like you're fundamentally flawed as a person, which isn't true, because the truth is that every single one of us has our own challenges. Maybe you're missing a leg, which is terrible. I can't imagine missing a leg. But it's one thing to realize that your human vessel is not perfect, just like all of us. None of us have a perfect human vessel. Some of us have an ugly face, a big nose, pimples on our face. Some of us are like 3 feet tall, or we're skinny, we can't put on muscle, or we put on too much weight. So none of us have a perfect body. But the problem is when you identify with your limitations, and normally this happens when you're very young, like 2 or 3 years old, you identify with your shortcomings. Now you feel like you as a person are flawed. You don't say, oh, my body's flawed. You say, I am flawed. And this really sets you up for a lot of trouble, because the truth is you are not your body. Your core, your soul, has no flaws at all. Who you really are deep in your heart is the source of infinite creativity, the source of pure love, the genius that has actually created the entire universe. So I was on a coaching call with a client the other day, and we were kind of diving into some of these deep limiting beliefs. And one thing that came up was that he feels like he's not smart enough. He got a lot of bad marks in school. This person, I'm talking to him, he's telling me about the books he reads, thick like Ken Wilber books. He's telling me about developmental psychology, spirituality, sharing all these really complex ideas with me. But then when I'm talking to him, I dive into his psyche. He feels like he's not smart enough to succeed. Because in school he got bad marks and his parents made him feel bad about it. So I told him, and this actually created a deep shift in him. I told him, I said, listen, the source of your being is literally the pure creative force that has manifested the entire cosmos. You want to talk about intelligence? Look at your fucking hand. Look how magnificent and intelligent it is. Look, you can move your fingers. You don't even know how you can do it, but you can do it. You can move your fingers, you can clap, you can move your arms, your legs. I'm speaking to you right now, and the words immediately register into your psyche. It's like instant understanding. How does that happen? How is that possible? Because creation is genius. Creation is infinitely intelligent. So if you think you're not smart enough, the reason why is because you're identified with a story. You think you are someone who isn't smart. You think you're like a human being who has all these limitations, but you're not. You are the actual flow of creation itself. And that flow is intelligent enough to design millions of different animal species, the entire Amazon rainforest, the whole globe, the whole fucking universe is designed by your intelligence. That's how smart you are. So that's one fix of this problem of feeling fundamentally flawed, is just disidentifying from the ego. You think you have all these flaws, but your body might have a flaw, but you're not your body. Your pure awareness is perfect, untarnished, like a mirror that has no impurities at all, just pure reflection. And then also another way to fix this fundamentally flawed belief is realizing that your weaknesses actually become your strengths. So if you're someone, me for example, one flaw that I had in my life was that I was very addicted to video games and weed and porn. I say it over and over again in my videos, but these addictions were a serious problem for me, and I felt like I would never be able to be successful because of how hopelessly addicted I am to these video games. But nowadays I realize that my flaws can actually be turned into my strengths. So because I struggled so much in the past with my addictions, now that I've overcome them, now I can help other people with that exact problem. Or another example, let's say you have a certain accent, right? You speak with an accent, or you have a weird way of inflecting your voice. Then many people are self-conscious about their accent. But I watch many speakers and many teachers who have thick German accents, Indian accents, and their accent is actually a strength because it gives them a certain character quality. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he said, he was self-conscious about he had a thick Austrian accent, but if you know Arnold Schwarzenegger, the first thing you think about is his big muscles and his accent. It actually brands him. Get out, get to the chopper. Like his accent is actually what makes him unique. So your weaknesses, you can actually flip them and turn them into your strengths, and you can lean into them. So if you feel like you're fundamentally flawed, realize it's not a flaw, it's actually a strength. All right, let's move on to hidden barrier number 2. So the hidden barrier number 2 that prevents you from achieving your full potential, that causes you to self-sabotage yourself, is the problem of disloyalty and abandonment. Disloyalty and abandonment. So this limiting belief says, I cannot expand to my full success because it would cause me to end up all alone, be disloyal to my roots, and leave behind people from my past. So if you feel like your family doesn't support you, if you feel like in order to be successful, you need to break an unspoken rule of your family, or you need to disobey your family in order to be successful, and that if you expand and the more successful you get, the more your family gets left behind because you broke their unspoken rule, you might have the disloyalty or abandonment upper limit. So ask yourself the question, did I break my family's unspoken rules in order to be successful? This is a big problem if you're someone who has very traditional parents, like very maybe immigrant parents or just very traditionally minded parents who have strict rules, and they tell you, oh, you have to go to university. If you don't go to university, I have no son or I have no daughter. We're going to disown you if you don't follow our rules. This kind of strict upbringing will cause this disloyalty or abandonment hidden barrier where you feel like if you want to be successful, you need to break your family's rules. And then, your family's going to hate you. They're going to ostracize you because you aren't following their rules. And you feel like the more successful you get, the more your family hates you. So it's like there's this giant cognitive dissonance that happens. So, for example, in my life, I needed to have a talk with my parents. This is very important. My parents are very supportive of me. I'm very lucky. I know a lot of people do not have parents that are as supportive as mine. But still, my parents really wanted me to go to university after high school. And if I didn't sit down and have this talk with them, then I would have been stuck in this barrier here. So the fix, if you have this barrier where your parents, your family is overbearing, and in order to succeed, you feel like you need to break their rules, you feel like your family doesn't support you, then what you need to do is the fix for this is to have a difficult conversation. This is a big one. So your success and your abundance and ultimate happiness lies on the other side of one difficult conversation. Okay? So for me personally, I had to sit down with my mom and my dad and say, hey guys, listen, I'm making the executive decision that I don't want to go to university. I got accepted to a great university in Toronto for the philosophy program. I decided, hey guys, I don't want to go to university. The reason why is because I learn very well on my own. I don't need some old professor giving me homework, giving a lecture to 500 people all at once, and then I'm swamped in homework, because that's not going to actually serve me. If I need to learn, I read a book. And so far, it's been working extremely well for me. So my parents, the problem is, okay, Adam, but how are you going to get a job? How are you going to work? So I gave them the whole plan. I say, okay, guys, I'm going to make YouTube videos, which they were like, what the fuck is that? I'm going to make YouTube videos. I'm going to teach people online. I'm going to learn on my own. I'm going to go to retreats. I'm going to purchase personal development courses, private courses that have nothing to do with a university, but are private. Because I noticed the universities, because they're public and everyone goes to the university doesn't really give a shit about actually helping you and teaching you and making sure that you succeed. They say that they care about you, but really they just want $10,000 a year, and then they just swamp you in homework. My friend told me, one of his professors said, I rarely give people in this class above 80%. Have you ever had a professor that's like, I'm a very strict marker? Yeah, so basically what you're telling me is that you don't give a fuck about whether or not I succeed. You're basically telling me you want me to fail your class. Why are you like that? Just fucking help me. So what I noticed is that private teachers actually care a lot more about their client's success than public teachers, because they're all complacent. They're getting paid a salary, whereas the actual business owner who's selling me a course, his business actually depends on my success. So that's something I realized, and I had to explain that to my parents. And I gave them my whole plan. Hey guys, I'm gonna, coach people. I'm gonna make a course, and it's working for me now. But 3 years ago, I didn't know it was gonna work for me. But I had a plan. I learned, and the point is that now my parents support me. And that's a great feeling, because now I can go on a meditation retreat. I can, chill out and do my thing without worrying like my parents secretly hate me because I broke their rules or I broke their creed. All right. So this is very important. You need to have that difficult conversation with your parents. Doesn't matter how traditional your parents are. You need to sit down with them and be the adult in this situation. You need to be loving with them, and you need to say, hey guys, listen, my happiness depends on me being able to go in the direction that I choose, not the direction that you choose. I know you love me, you want the best for me, you have life experience, I understand. But guess what? The world changes, things change. Nowadays, the best opportunities are on the internet. So in your days, yeah, you had to go to university in order to be successful. Yeah, that was in the 70s or the 80s. Nowadays, every single person goes to university, and a lot of people graduate after 4 to 6 years, $100,000 in debt with a $20 per hour job. So I'm going to make the executive decision to take my education into my own hands, can order books from Amazon right to my house, and then I'm going to learn how to craft a business for myself. Okay, so that's the kind of conversation you have to have with your parents if you feel like you're someone with this hidden barrier. All right, let's move into hidden barrier number 3. This is another big one. Feeling like if you succeed, you're going to be more of a burden. So number 3 is being a burden. Now, I'll be honest, this one I haven't experienced too much in my life, but I can fully understand how this one feels. This hidden barrier says, if I become more successful, I'll just be an even bigger burden onto my family and onto the world. So this is another one of those core fundamental beliefs that you get when you're 2 or 3. This happens a lot if you're a child who was born into a family that isn't ready for you. So maybe you're a child who is an accident. So maybe you were like born out of wedlock. So maybe your mom and your dad kind of had you, but like it was an accident. You were an unplanned pregnancy. And then now all of a sudden you're in the world. Your mom has to support you. Maybe your dad's not around, and your mom like is working 2 jobs just to support you, and there's this feeling like you're a burden onto their life, because sometimes you actually are. If you're an unplanned pregnancy, now your mom has to support a child and herself, and that's very difficult to do. So this would cause you to feel like a burden. This also happens a lot to youngest children as well, where if you're the youngest child, always like you're always the youngest, so you're always the neediest, and it's like everyone has to take care of you. So sometimes if you're the youngest, you can feel like your family doesn't want to take care of you. You're so annoying, you're so needy, and this makes you feel like a burden. And I know some people in my personal life that have this upper barrier, and so ultimately, in order to overcome this barrier here, feeling like you're a burden, then you need to realize that you are not guilty for crimes that you haven't committed. So if you were born at the wrong time, and it was difficult for your parents to raise you because they didn't plan for you to come into the world, and then your whole life they've treated you like you're a burden to them, that's going to make you feel like a burden, but that's not your fault. You are accusing yourself of crimes that you didn't even commit. It's not your fault that your parents didn't plan your birth, but you're here now, and what are you going to do about it? You didn't choose to be born at the time or in the place that you did. You didn't choose to be a burden on your parents or whoever raised you. But it's just like when you're 3 or 4 years old, you can't control this. You just need help. You need to be raised. And if you feel like you're a burden, you need to realize that it's not your fault. Other people, maybe your family, they accused you of being a burden, but that's a crime that you didn't even commit. It's not your fault that you're alive. So it's like if you feel like, I didn't choose to be born, if other people are accusing you of causing problems for them in their life, say, hey, I didn't choose to be born. See, this is that upper limit of feeling like you're a burden. And in this case, you need to realize that this is a crime you didn't commit, and you aren't a burden to anyone, really. Really, it's like, ultimately, if you zoom out far enough, everything is happening in perfect alignment. And if you caused a lot of stress to your parents, then that's a lesson that they had to learn that actually helped them grow and develop as a person. So ultimately, if you zoom out far enough, even though you may have been challenging to raise, you may have been a burden, that sometimes is actually something that God puts into people's laps so that they can grow and develop, their soul can grow. So maybe your mom needed to have you and to raise you because that actually helped her grow and develop. So if you zoom out far enough, then realize you're not actually a burden. And also, it's not a crime that you committed. It's a false crime. There's nothing wrong with you. You're alive, you're here, you're still a beautiful expression of existence. Okay? Now, number 4 is one that I think really, really messed me up for a long time in my life. Number 4 is one that I still struggle with to this day, but I've really come a long way to where I used to be. This is the main one that I struggled with a lot, which is the crime of outshining. So when I was reading Gay Hendrick's book and I read about the crime of outshining, I was like, holy shit, this is me. This is my whole life. The crime of outshining says, I can't expand to my full potential because if I did, I would outshine blank, and that would make them feel bad. So the crime of outshining, you basically turn down the volume of your own greatness so that you don't hurt other people's feelings. So this was a massive one for me. This one happens a lot to people who are naturally gifted or talented. When I was younger, like 4 years old, I was really smart. I had like a great ability just to learn things really quickly. I had good pattern recognition. I solved puzzles quickly. And I was very smart, very curious. And I also spoke with a much better vocabulary than a lot of other people did my age. And I remember when I was in class, I would always get the answer a lot faster than all the other kids did. So the teacher would ask a question, and then 2 seconds later, I get it, I raise my hand. And I already know the answer. And I liked knowing the answer. That feels good. But after a while, the teacher doesn't want the same kid to answer the questions every single time. They needed to give every single kid a chance to shine. So at one point in my life, I remember I was maybe 6 years old, love feeling smart, right? I was really smart and I liked feeling smart. It felt good. So I'd raise my hand to answer the question for like the 100th time. And the teacher would say, Adam, stop it. You know what you're doing? You're being a hot dog. She actually told me, you're being a hot dog. You know what that means? That means you're trying to hog all the attention. You're not giving other people a chance. And I remember this really fucking like destroyed my soul, like deeply. Because I felt, oh my fucking God, like I can't be the best version of myself, because if I shine brightly, then I'm not giving other people a chance to shine. I'm like stealing the spotlight away from other people. So the more I shine, the brighter that I shine, the more that other people feel bad. So what I had to do is I had to turn the volume down on my light, on my genius. I had to turn the volume down. This also happened, I remember the next year when I was 7 years old, I was in grade 2. I was sitting at the group desk with this girl, and I thought she was cute, and I had a kind of a crush on her. And we were talking, and as I was talking, I forgot what I said. I said some big word. And it was natural for me. I said a word like congested or something. I just said a word that wasn't very typical of like a 7-year-old to use. But when the girl heard me say that word, she said, "What does that mean?" I said, "Oh, congested, it just means like when there's a lot of boogers in your nose." And she's like, when you use words like that, like it makes me feel stupid. And then again, this was like another knife in my heart. I was just like, fuck. Like, I didn't mean to make you feel stupid. I just was talking. I was just using a word, and now you feel stupid. Like, fuck. So now, for the rest of my life, I was intentionally trying not to use big words when I talk. Because for some reason, naturally, when I get ideas, sometimes I get big words as to help describe my idea. But now I have to like turn the volume down and use simple words so that other people don't feel stupid when I talk. See, this was a big, giant problem for me. And in order to fix this problem, I had to realize, I only realized this like 2 years ago when I read this book, The Big Leap. I had to realize that the brighter I shine, the more I actually inspire others to shine with me. So I used to think that if I shine really bright, then other people are going to feel bad, or they're going to be jealous, or they're going to envy me. But now I realize that the brighter I shine, the more I actually inspire other people to shine. The more I share my genius, the more I awaken the genius within other people. And this is a giant shift that I had to go through in my life. And I feel a lot better. When I first started making YouTube videos, that again, like I felt like I can't be that smart. Because if I show how smart I am, people are going to think I'm arrogant. People are going to get jealous. People are going to make fun of me. But now, as I've grown through this and I've matured, I realize, hey guys, like I'm smart. I got good ideas. This is Gay Hendrick's idea, but I know how to talk. I'm going to show you guys, and then we're all going to learn together. We're all going to grow together. Okay? So that's something I really had to work through. And now I realize if someone judges me or calls me arrogant, like, oh, how arrogant are you to tell me that I'm the infinite source of creation? How arrogant of you to say that you understand the deep structures of existence. It's like, yeah, you know what? Honestly, like, fuck you. Like, at this point, I know what I know, and like, if you're jealous, that's okay, because that's actually helping the person heal something in themselves. So if other people get triggered at your genius, that's not your fault, that's their fault. And in fact, that actually helps them, Because what I realized in my life that triggering other people is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. Because that's an emotional wound that they need to heal. And you're bringing it to the surface. You're giving them an opportunity to heal it. All right? So when you shine brightly, other people will shine with you. And if they don't, you're going to give them an opportunity to heal themselves anyways. Okay? So now let's talk about the actual mechanisms that these 4 hidden barriers manifest as in your life. So these are the 4 hidden barriers: feeling fundamentally flawed, feeling like you're going to abandon your family or you're being disloyal to your family if you're going to succeed. Number 3 is feeling like a burden onto other people and onto the world. And number 4 is fearing outshining other people, not wanting to outshine, turning the volume down on your greatness. Okay? So those are the 4 hidden barriers. Now, practically in your life, this manifests as maybe 6 or 7 forms of self-sabotage, which we're going to go over right now. So the first way that these 4 hidden barriers might manifest in your life is first and foremost worry. So you use these mechanisms to keep yourself within your limit of happiness. So the goal of this video is that I want to help you expand your limit. So instead of being limited over here, we can actually expand it so that you can kind of push this upper limit so you can feel more happiness, more success, more abundance. You can step into the greatest version of yourself. What we're doing is we're getting rid of the obstacles. So the first obstacle is worry. So this one I don't do too much, but my girlfriend does a lot. She's like the master worrier. And I help her with this a lot. So basically what you do is whenever you feel really good in the moment, so something good is happening. Maybe you're having fun with your significant other, or maybe you're making a lot of money, or you're having a fun experience. You're at the beach with your friends, okay? Nothing to worry about at all. Life is good. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're going to start worrying about something you said 2 years ago. Out of nowhere, you're just going to creep into your mind. It's like, oh, did I forget to turn the stove off? You're just going to worry about something. Like, oh, is it okay the way I'm talking right now? So when you worry about random things, normally what that is showing you is that you're hitting your upper limit. And this worry is not a genuine worry, but it's actually a worry that's manifesting just to keep you sad, basically, so that you don't expand into the highest version of yourself. Because with the 4 hidden barriers, you feel like there's something wrong with you. So you use worry to keep yourself in check. Now, in order to transcend worry, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. First of all, is this a real possibility? Is this thing that I'm worrying about, is this a real possibility? So if you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you're afraid that an asteroid is going to hit the Earth, ask yourself, is this a real possibility? Well, yes, an asteroid might hit the Earth. Okay, so then you move on to the second question. So if the answer is no, it's not a real possibility. So if you're afraid of like the boogeyman coming and like stealing, your soul, then you'd say, oh, you know what? That's not really a real possibility. That's just a pointless worry that I'm using to limit myself. But if the answer is yes, so let's say you're walking and then you're walking out your house and you're like, oh, I forgot to turn the stove off. Next, so is this a real possibility? Yes, maybe I actually did forget to turn the stove off. And then The second question you have to ask yourself is, can I actually do something about it right now? Can I actually do something about it? So if you ask yourself, did I turn the stove off, and you're worrying about it, if you're all the way at the beach 3 hours away, can I actually do something about it? Maybe you can call the person who lives with you. You can call your roommate. Say, hey, can you check if I left the stove on? You can call your mom. Hey, mom, did I leave the stove on? So in that case, yeah, you actually can do something about it. And then in that moment, you know this was a legitimate worry and you can do something about it. But another example is this: if you can't do something about it right now, like right now, I'm failing to think of an example. But if you're just worried about like maybe the health of your loved one, your loved one maybe is in the hospital. Obviously, it's natural to worry about them. But if they've been there for a while, like, can you do something about it right now? Like, if you're on a walk with your wife and you're worried about your loved one who's in the hospital and you can't even go visit them right now, what are you going to do about it? You got to just kind of let it go. You got to stop worrying about things that bring you down, because it's good for you to expand and to feel happy. But if you don't allow yourself to feel happy, then you're just going to keep worrying about stuff you can't actually do something about. Okay? So that was worry. The next mechanism that the hidden barriers manifest as is one of my favorites that I use all the time. I'm an expert at using this one. Is criticism and blame. Oh my God, I'm so good at doing this. So whenever I feel happy or I feel like I'm in a good mood, everything's going well in my life, what I used to do was that I used to just find something to criticize, find something to complain about. So, I'm feeling so good, living my life, hanging out with my friends. All of a sudden, I'm just going to start complaining about the government. Or I'm going to start complaining about the education system. Or I'm going to start criticizing this one YouTuber who made a video that was stupid. Or I'm going to just criticize my friend for the way he's dressing. So criticizing is just a way for you to ruin the good mood, basically. So you're feeling good, you're having a good time, all of a sudden you just want to start criticizing, oh, that road, they should have paved the road, they got to put a pothole, they got to fill in that pothole. Oh, that building, what an ugly building. Why do you got to point out the negatives? So stop looking for the negatives, okay? Notice that when you're upper limiting yourself, same with worry. When you're upper limiting yourself, you're focusing on something negative. If you want to overcome this blockage, realize that this thing, criticism or blame or worry, what it's doing is it's trying to cover up an internal positive feeling. So instead of focusing on the worry or on the criticism, focus on the positive feeling that it's trying to cover up. So in any single moment of reality, there is a positive feeling. Right now, I want to see if you can find in your body if there's a positive feeling. Right now, my stomach hurts a little bit, to be honest. I don't know why. But in my heart, there's actually just like kind of a warm, like a giddy feeling. And it feels kind of nice. So I'm going to focus on that. Instead of my stomach hurting, I'm going to focus on the good feeling in my heart. And you'll notice as you focus on the positives expand. The law of attention. You put your attention on the positive things, they grow and expand. But if you put your attention on the negatives, like the blame or the worry, then that worry is going to expand. And the negative is going to expand. All right. The next mechanism of upper limiting, where you upper limit yourself, is deflecting compliments. Deflecting. Deflecting is like, deflect it. This happens when somebody gives you a genuine compliment, like, hey, I love your hair. Wow, your hair's so beautiful. Oh, my hair, oh, it's not that nice. Oh, I just got out of the shower, and it's so ugly. I forgot to straighten it. or a lot of guys do this. I do this. So sometimes people tell me, hey, Adam, awesome video. And in the past, I used to say, oh, it kind of sucked. The intro was really bad. I could have made a better intro. Gay Hendricks give the example of golf. When people go golfing, he says golfers are experts at deflection. Because you're golfing, you're having a good time, you're enjoying the beautiful golf course, you're relaxing. You should be feeling really good. This kind of gets people to the upper limit where let's say they hit a nice drive, so their friend tells them, hey, nice shot. They say, I could have made better contact with it. Or I veered to the left too much. Because you're already feeling good, you're already golfing and you're relaxed. So if you feel too good, if your friend gives you a compliment, that might push you over your upper limit. Might push you over the limit. So you deflect the compliment. You don't actually allow yourself to absorb the positivity, you deflect it into something negative. All right? So that's how deflecting works. A lot of girls do this a lot. Sometimes I'll say, oh, I love the way you're dressed. Like, oh, this old thing, oh, it's just, an ugly rag. Just say thank you, okay? So if you want to fix this problem, just say thank you, okay? This is a big one. So now people tell me, good video. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like making good videos. Thanks. Instead of saying, oh, no, this is wrong, just say thanks. Okay, the next one is squabbling. I'm going to use red because squabbling is like fighting. I do this one a lot as well. I'll be honest, guys. Squabbling is just like picking an argument with someone for no reason at all. Just because you're feeling happy, now you need to find something to argue with so that you can stay sad, so that you don't move past your upper limit. So squabbling is just like picking a fight for no reason. Last night, it was late at night and I was getting ready to go to bed and I was feeling in a really good mood, right? I was feeling awesome. I was ready to go to sleep. And then I just remembered for no reason that my girlfriend owes me like $100 or something. I bought some groceries and she's got to pay me back. And for no reason, I just kind of like picked a fight about it. It's like, hey, when are you going to pay me back? Like, it's been like a long time. And then she started fighting with me. She's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, it's late at night. Just go to bed, relax. You don't have to be so rude about it. Like, chill out. And now, the next day, I realized, like, oh yeah, she was right. Like, I didn't need to fight about that for no reason. I could have easily just handled it tomorrow and just said, hey, I would really like if you sent me that money now because, it's not cool to, be in debt. So now I realize that squabbling, just picking fights with people, I do this a lot. I'm a very argumentative type of person. And really, the reason why you do this most of the time is to just ruin your own happiness, basically, to keep yourself on a lower level of happiness. So whenever you're going to fight with someone, just ask yourself the question, like, is this really worth it right now? Could I solve this problem without fighting? And obviously, most of the time, the answer is yes. You don't actually have to squabble. But a lot of couples do this. They just fight all the time. Whenever something's going well in the relationship, you guys are on a date, you're going to go watch a movie, having a good time, and all of a sudden you just pick a fight. for no reason. This is the upper limit problem in action. All right, so just be aware of this, okay? Awareness here is really the cure to all of these problems, just awareness. That's why this video is so important, because once you're aware of what's going on, then it kind of fixes itself. All right, this one happened to me as well. Another mechanism is getting sick. Getting sick or hurt. Oh my God, I remember when I was 17 years old, or 16, I was going, it was Christmas. I remember it was Christmas Eve. I was reading The Big Leap, and this was when I was 16. I was reading it. I was having a great time. My personal development was on track. My habits were on track. It was Christmas Eve. My family was cooking dinner. We're making a big Christmas Eve feast. And I go downstairs to go help them cook, and I start chopping this cucumber on a mandolin. You know those choppers, they're called mandolins. And as I'm chopping the cucumber, I fucking run my thumb through the mandolin. And I literally slice off a big part of my thumb. I'm just like, fuck. Literally, it was really bad. My thumb still has it's not fully there because I sliced it off. I sliced off a giant part of my thumb. My dad had to rush me to the hospital. And that kind of ruined Christmas Eve for me, to be honest, because I had to get a giant needle. It sucked a lot. I spent like 2 hours at the hospital. So this was an example of getting hurt or getting sick as a way to upper limit yourself, to prevent yourself from feeling too good. So only later I realized that cutting off my thumb was kind of a way that I just kept myself in check, because my life was awesome. I was getting ready to go to a rave with my friends. It was Christmas. Everything's working out perfectly in my life. So I got to, limit my happiness a little bit by cutting my thumb off. And there's other ways you do this, by getting sick, getting a stomach ache, getting a giant headache. So it's like whenever you feel too good, all of a sudden you just get a giant headache for no reason. So there's a lot of psychosomatic sicknesses that are caused by this mechanism. Also, that was the final one that Gay Hendrick talked about, but I'm going to add another one. Because this one I noticed in my life big time is addiction. Addiction can be used as a form of self-harm to sabotage yourself. So I noticed in my life, sometimes if I'm like really on a good streak, a good momentum where I'm doing all my work, meditating, exercising, got all my shit together, and what I used to do a lot was I used to just say, hey, so, I got everything together. What's wrong if I just, smoke a giant joint to my face? I deserve it, right? I can relax and I can have fun. But at that point, it took me a few years to realize that I was using addiction as a form of self-sabotage. Because after I smoked that joint, I would, feel good for 30 minutes, but then I'd get all foggy and lazy. Then I'd guilt myself. Then I'd go into this whole cycle where I'd go eat a bunch of junk food. Maybe I'd watch some porn. Maybe I'd play 12 hours of video games. So there goes my positive momentum. Now I'm just kind of lost in a cycle of negativity, all having to do with addictions. Okay, so keep in mind, are you using your addiction to self-harm? And Gay Hendrick actually does mention addiction in the book. He says you know whether or not you're addicted to something if you can go for a week without feeling a craving. So if you can quit something cold turkey and go for one whole week without craving it, that's how you know you're not addicted. But within that week, if you get strong cravings for that thing, that means you're addicted. That's just a side point. But yeah, we use addictions as a form of self-harm, and that can keep us within our comfort zone and our safety zone. All right. So what I just shared with you to review the mechanisms are worry, criticism, deflecting, squabbling, getting sick, and addiction. Okay, those are all ways that our self-sabotage manifests in our life. Okay, so what are some good techniques to fix this problem and to stop self-sabotaging your own growth? Okay, so the first technique is awareness. Okay, I'm going to write it on the board. Awareness. Have I ever talked about awareness on my channel? I don't know. Awareness. Okay? This is why meditation is so important, because we're going to be aware of what is going on in our life. Okay? This is why reading books is so important, because we get awareness of what's going on. So now you have awareness of the upper limit mechanism. You're aware of the hidden barriers and the strategies for upper limiting. Now you have this awareness. So congratulations. Now what you need to do is you need to live your life and watch. Keep in mind what I'm talking about in this video and watch. Does this upper limit appear in your life? Where does it appear? So an affirmation you can say to yourself is, I commit to discovering my own upper limit and also having fun while I'm doing it. So that's an affirmation from Gay Hendrick's book. I commit to discovering my own upper limit and having fun while I'm doing it. So this is a game, guys. We don't need to be so serious. What will really cause a big problem for you is if you see yourself upper limiting and then you're like, fuck, I'm doing it again. Like, I'm such a bad person. Okay, don't be hard on yourself. This is a game. We're going to be playful about it. Oh, there's another upper limit. Oh, that's really interesting that I keep doing that. Just kind of laugh it off. Don't worry too much about it. Okay? In general, it's important to focus on the positive in your life, not the negative. So all of these techniques, whenever you catch yourself upper limiting, the reason why is probably because your life is going well and something good is happening. So focus on that thing that's good in your life right now. Exercise gratitude. Very important. When you're showering, say thank you for the warm water. Many people in the world have no water at all. They got to go walk 4 miles just to drink clean water, and you're showering in the stuff, okay? And it's hot, and it feels good on your body. So be grateful for your privileges. Thank the universe. Oh, thank you for grass. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for my body. All right, that's focusing on the positive. That helps a lot. So whenever you're upper limiting, notice the positive feeling that is trying to come out of you and focus on that instead of the worry or the criticism or the blame or the squabbling that happens as a result. Okay? Okay, and finally, I'm going to leave you with one affirmation. This is like the key affirmation. I'm going to write it on the board. Say this to yourself. I expand in abundance. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day. As I inspire those around me to do the same. Okay, I'm not going to write it all on the board. I got lazy. But I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. Okay? That's your ultimate mantra. Okay? You can say this over and over again. What Gay Hendrick recommends in the book is you can kind of sit with yourself in a relaxed, quiet place and whisper this mantra to yourself. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. And then wait 10 or 15 seconds. See how the mantra affects your body. See how it affects your facial expression, your mood. Also, see if there's any back talk. See if you see your upper limit starts going, oh yeah, right, you expand in abundance, success, and whatever. See if there's like a negative feeling that's associated with this mantra. That is the key for uprooting your limiting beliefs and your self-sabotage. So you can whisper this mantra to yourself, wait 15 seconds, see how you react. If you see there's a negative emotion, just notice it. Maybe you can try and get to the root of it, but if you don't want to get to the root of it, just notice it, let it go, and then say it again. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. And you can repeat this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes until you feel like you're done. And then you can just go on about your day and notice, just wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Wait after you're done, just see how it affects you. Okay, many people don't believe in affirmations, but they work. As long as they're shifting how you feel inside, which they do, then it works. All right? So whatever you focus on will attract. Okay, so if you focus on the positive, focus on the expansion of your abundance, and then your abundance is going to expand. But if you focus on all the bullshit, the worry, the criticism, the squabbling, getting sick and hurt, if you focus on what isn't working in your life, you're going to get more of that. But instead, focus on what is working. Focus on your vision. Focus on the highest version of that you want to become. And you'll notice that everything in your life starts to fall into place. All right, guys, that was how to stop self-sabotaging your success. That's all I have to say here. Thanks again to Gay Hendrick. Go read The Big Leap, an awesome book. And that's all I got to say here. Thanks for watching. I'm making new videos like this. Recently, I've been feeling daily videos. Might not last forever, but stay tuned, subscribe, because I have more really deep, in-depth, transformational personal development and spirituality content on the way. You can click in the description. I'm going to be giving away a free meditation, a guided meditation. All you have to do to get it is to opt into my email list, where I'm going to be sharing with you a weekly newsletter where it's literally just like a cool insight that I thought of, and it's going to help add value to your life, maybe tell you something you didn't already know. So there's the free surrender meditation that I'm going to be sharing with you, the most powerful meditation that I still use on a daily basis that helps me surrender and just enjoy my life, and to stop upper limiting myself. Just surrender, just enjoy your life. That's what that meditation is going to help you do. Stay tuned as I get the technology. The link might not be there yet, but soon it will be. And also keep your eyes peeled, because I'm going to be making an ultimate meditation course. It's going to tell you every single thing you need to know, from posture, different meditation techniques. And I've been learning meditation for 5 years. I've been taught by enlightened masters. I even traveled to Thailand and lived in a monastery for a few months. Just learning meditation is something I've spent a lot of time learning. I've meditated for thousands of hours at this point in my life. So I'm going to be making an ultimate course for you that teaches you the basics of meditation and how to do it right, so you know you're actually progressing, you know that it's working for you because you're following my advice, and also how to stick to it as a daily habit, okay? So stay tuned for that course. I'm working on it now. It's going to be awesome. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And besides that, I'll see you in the next video.